Did I break your laptop? Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, that's the arm bar. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Two dudes and a Mexican. Wednesday edition, live from Bogey's Sports Bar.
Bogey.
Got a hot, pretty cool fantasy draft going on in the background. So if you want to have your fantasy draft parties here, you know,
Dope. This place is dope.
You got your own upstairs room. Pretty good beer specials. Pretty good wing specials. Like I said, I gave it a 7 out of 10 last time.
Wine specials too.
Wine specials too on a Wednesday. We're back on a Wednesday. Here live at Bogey's. Two dudes is Mexican. I'm your host. Some dude named Victor Salazar. To the left of me, another dude named Peter Soprano. To the right of me, resident Mexican David Quinones.
What let me end there?
Wearing that ugly Met hat, but it's all right, man. We're gonna let you slide. I know. So yeah, I know I didn't plug the show last time, but Pete's Corner just went off. I hope you guys make some money off that. I hope you guys. You know, I know some dudes came up to Pete before saying they should have done the show before so they could get some fantasy advice. Nice fantasy draft going on in the background. But yeah, fantasy football is upon us. Got a lot of Cowboys things to talk about. We have Denver Broncos insider Troy Renck of Denver 7 ABC, so you know he's well connected. So we're going to ask him all things Denver Broncos. We can get into a little Premier League soccer. We haven't really touched upon it. Big North London Derby. Or Derby happening this weekend. Then we're going to run through some college football. So, I mean, the storylines obviously was Andrew Luck. So, we've gone through that. He's no longer here. He may come back. But there's still one big running back that's out there. Two big running backs out there that yet to sign. But everything's bigger in Texas, apparently.
One for America's team, I guess.
From America's team, Zeke. Jerry Jones not worried that Zeke is going to miss the start of the season.
It's a screw.
Should he be worried?
Definitely. Listen, Zeke is the centerpiece of that offense. When they aren't running the football, Dak Prescott is not that great because Dak Prescott needs a running game. He needs an offensive line, he needs a running game. And right now you got Frederick who's coming back, who we don't know he's 100% because he missed the whole year last year. And now you're not going to have your starting all-pro running back. I think he needs those type of tools to be successful. Without him, I think, like Jerry Jones talked about, listen, we need Zeke for the heart of the season. We need Zeke for the playoffs. You may not make the playoffs if you don't start off the season good. So I think it's very important, and I think you should be very worried right now.
Shout out to my guy Jeff, who said that don't look at the camera. I'm looking at you right now. Both of them. More on Jerry Jones. We don't need Zeke now. We're going to need him for the playoffs. Without Zeke, did the Cowboys even make the playoffs?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I agree with Pete. Listen, when you lose the rushing champion of last year, yeah, that's a big deal. Listen, Dak Prescott, I think he's an okay quarterback. We had this discussion before, right?
Yeah, we had
Is he top 10? Is he top 15? Maybe top 15. Probably top 20.
Yeah.
But listen, a guy like that, he's definitely going to need his horse. Those defenses are going to be too much for him if he doesn't have a guy like Zeke, and I don't think Pollard could fill his shoes. So he's going to need Zeke. He's going to need Zeke to get to the playoffs. He's going to need Zeke to even have a good offense, especially to beat teams like the Eagles in the division. It's going to be a tough year for them. So we'll see.
Who else is not going to benefit from Zeke being there? Is the guy that's probably trying to get paid. And that's Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, they got Jason Witten back. Who knows what he is at this point in his career? A year off, he's already older.
Yeah.
So the guy that they traded a number 1 pick for, and the guy that they want to pay.
Yeah.
What does that mean for Amari Cooper?
I mean, it can be working both ways for him. It can work in good because they're going to have to pass the ball more. They're not going to be able to run the ball 20, 25 times like they're normally to the Zeke. So it's going to force them to pass the ball more, and he's going to probably get more targets. However, it's going to hurt him because he's not going to be as open. Like the defenders, you're not going to have to send that extra safety down there. So it's going to help and hurt. So
they're not going to respect the running game.
Yeah, exactly. So it'll help him in terms of his numbers may be better, but he's not going to be as efficient.
Now, before we get into Troy Renck of ABC 7 Denver, a lot's been said about the AFC West, David. You got the Chiefs. One misaligned defensive end lined up in the neutral zone away from being a Super Bowl contender. Basically, would have been in the Super Bowl. Everyone loves the Chargers, Phillip Rivers. there's a freaking clown show going on in Oakland. Are we forgetting about the Denver Broncos?
Denver who?
Broncos.
Damn.
Listen,
High Stadium.
Listen, let's be honest here. Denver hasn't been good since when, guys?
A couple years ago.
They won a Super Bowl 2 years ago. What are you talking
With
about?
Cam
With
Newton.
who? With who?
They beat Cam Newton in the Super Bowl.
With Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning's not there.
Peyton Manning had no neck.
Yeah, exactly. He didn't win the Super Bowl. It was the defense that won the Super Bowl.
won it, but still, he was a staple when he got there. He helped that team become better. It's just, listen, quarterback after quarterback after quarterback, they haven't found their quarterback.
And like Brock Osweiler.
So Trevor Siemian,
Trevor Siemian.
Lynch.
So listen,
Lynch.
Axel Lynch.
Listen, I'm truly a believer in. I think the Chiefs are going to definitely win at least 1 or 2 Super Bowls.
You gotta believe in
after
elite
they're done.
Flacco.
So, but
You said 1 or 2 Super Bowl the
Elite
Chiefs.
Flacco, man.
When has Andy Reid ever proven to you could win a Super Bowl?
this year he's got to prove it. This year, he's
He had a
plenty of
proof
times
before.
proven it this year. He's
He's been in the conference championship like 8
18
times.
times probably.
he hasn't had a team like this.
Oh, come on.
Come on.
Yeah, has he?
You had
So you had a team like this?
Oh my God.
Do you remember
he
all
had
the
a team like
teams?
that last year.
Do you remember all the teams he
That's
had with
what I'm saying.
Philadelphia?
A team like this.
All right, now he doesn't have.
Dude,
You better win. You better win.
He had better defenses in Philadelphia too. He had great teams in
He doesn't
Philadelphia.
have Kareem Hunt.
He didn't have great. I don't think he
He
has
doesn't have
great
Kareem
teams
Hunt
like
now.
Nope.
He doesn't have Kareem Hunt. D4 or whatever you want to say about him.
Tyreek's one like bad joke from being suspended.
I mean, so come on, Dave. So we forgetting about them Broncos?
No, I think people still think they have a good defense. I think the biggest issue with them is their offense. It was decimated last year. Their offensive line wasn't good. They didn't. Lindsey was a good surprise as an undrafted running back.
That's my guy.
But now the question is, can he do it again now that people know about him? But he was undrafted last year. Nobody knew about him.
He's a running back, dude.
Now people know about him. So.
You have to scheme differently like that. It's
But
like
but if you're an undrafted running back, are you really trying to defend him? Now people are actually going to look to defend him.
I think people were looking to defend him halfway during the year.
And he slowed down a little bit in the second half of
He
the
got
year.
hurt. He had a wrist injury.
But we're going to get it proven now this year when it starts.
He had a
So
wrist injury.
I think their offense, led by the elite Joe Flacco, can put up some points.
The elite Joe Flacco.
I think they can put up some points, but I just don't think their offense can keep up there with the Chargers and obviously with the Chiefs.
I mean, sure.
But their defense is
defense
better than both of them.
I mean, they're still.
The defense is better than both of them.
So I mean, sure.
They're gonna be competitive. They're not gonna be like bad team like
Before
Oakland.
we get to Troy, will elite Joe Flacco finish this year as a starter, or is Drew Lock? Well, he's on injured reserve right now, right? So, or will Drew Lock come in at some point during the season and take over?
Yeah, I don't think he finishes as a starter. So I think eventually Drew Lock or somebody else comes in. So
Drew Lock, your boy,
Yeah,
boy,
I like
your
his-
boy,
I think his health's got to.
your boy, not my boy, your boy.
Yeah, Drew Lock was actually my favorite quarterback in the draft. He has a strong arm to play in Denver, so I think it's actually gonna work out for him.
Well, I mean,
What do you think about Lock? You think he's good or
I
no?
think he's good. I think he's
good.
good.
What do you think?
I'm just messing with you because that's your boy. So
This is Troy.
Hey Troy, you're on with Two Dudes and a Mexican with Victor and David and Peter. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Thanks for coming on. We want to get right into Denver Broncos. We know you don't have too much time, so listen. Denver Broncos last year, they didn't have a great year. They seem to be in a rebuilding or transition phase. What's the mentality in camp right now? Do they think that they can? I mean, obviously they're going to try to compete. They think they can compete, but do the front office, do the people around there, really, the fans think they can compete, or is it more of a rebuilding or transition year?
Well, I think fans are a little more realistic that it's definitely a transition year. New coach, your 5th starting quarterback since Peyton Manning, coming off 11 wins the last 2 years. One of the most penalized teams in the league the last 2 years. 12 of those 21 losses over the last 2 years were by double digits. So I think you got to be realistic as a fan. Front office with Joe Flacco, the addition of Joe Flacco, new coach Vic Fangio, they believe they can get back into contention for a playoff berth. I think if they were in a different division right now, they'd probably have a shot.
Yeah.
But this division with the Chiefs and Chargers is loaded. The Broncos have not been a good road team since Peyton Manning retired. So, I mean, I'd say the easiest way to say it is cautious optimism.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think you're going to see Bronco fans being unrealistic either, given just how poorly the last 2 seasons had gone.
So now you talked about some of the inconsistencies and everything that they've had for the past couple of years. One thing that came out of nowhere was undrafted running back Philip Lindsay. He had a great year last year. End of the year, he was hurt a little bit and he started to slow down a little bit. Do you think that they're going to give him the same amount of reps that they gave him last year, or are they going to try to share it with Freeman and with Booker and everything?
Well, I think he's going to get the same amount of touches. I just don't know that they're going to use him between the tackles as much. They want to make sure he remains durable, and they have him for 16 games. They would like Royce Freeman to take a few more of those carries up the middle, and then where Lindsey would get the additional touches would be in the passing game on swing passes out of the backfield and all screens, and also being lined up wide where he's a clear mismatch in space against linebackers. So I think he's going to get to the same spot in terms of usage. It's just going to be more diversified, where he should be, as part of this Rich Scangarello offense, he should be a weapon in the passing game. So, maybe he gets 14 rushes and 4 or 5 catches rather than try to get him 20 carries, which, again, I think there would be concern that the wear and tear of that would probably not be beneficial for Philip Lindsay or the team.
So now we look at some of the other weapons on the team, and Emmanuel Sanders has been there for a long time. He's the mainstay there at wide receiver. And now you have the young guys like Hamilton and like Cortland Sutton coming on. Do you think that's the year that Sutton takes over as the number one wide receiver, or is Sanders still the guy there?
Yeah, there was certainly that talk once Emmanuel tore his Achilles, and he's 32, and you wonder, is his days as the number one receiver over? But I would say after watching the entirety of camp, Emmanuel Sanders is clearly the number one still. I talked to Emmanuel today, and he said he got clocked at 21.3 miles per hour. His fastest previously was 20.8. He's running and cutting better. Health's going to be an issue because of his age, but I see no issue with him returning to being a 1,000-yard receiver, even at his age. I think Joe Flacco is going to lean heavily on him. Cortland Sutton is emerging as a leader along with Bradley Chubb and Philip Lindsay in that locker room. It's just for him to be a one, he's got to continue to get better at the rest of the route tree. He's great on high point 50-50 balls. He's a physical receiver, but to be a one, he's got to be able to run crisp routes consistently and also against top corners. Last year when Emmanuel got hurt and they rolled over the top corner to Cortland, that was a tough match for him. He only had 14 catches over the last 4 games, but Cortland's improving. But for now, Emmanuel Sanders is the clear number one. After Cortland and Emmanuel, they need Deshaun Hamilton to step up, and he's finished camp strong. He kind of disappeared in the middle because of a hamstring injury, but they really need him to step up, and one of those tight ends, obviously, to step up. But Emmanuel is the clear number one.
We're live here with Troy Renck of Denver 7 ABC, live with 2 dudes and a Mexican. You were talking about the tackles, Troy, and it just brings to mind left tackle Garrett Bowles, first-round pick in 2017, dealing with ups and downs. Obviously, it hasn't really lived up to that potential. What's the outlook for the left side of the line with Garrett Bowles?
Well, he's at a crossroads season. You said it correctly. It's been wildly inconsistent. He's led the team in penalties his first 2 years of his career. He's not a young player. He's young in experience, but because he went on a mission and only played the 1 year of Division I college football, he's kind of at this weird crossroads. And if basically their thinking on this is this: if he can't figure it out under Mike Munchak, then they're going to have to move on after this year in terms of him as a starter. And unfortunately, you keep him and he'd be a swing tackle. Well, he doesn't really project as a guy who could play multiple positions like Elijah Wilkinson. I thought Wilkinson would push Bowles for that job, but Juwan James missed so much time early in camp, and Ron Leary's the question mark at right guard. Wilkinson really was never able to threaten to unseat or supplant Bowles. So they've seen improvement from Bowles. He seems to be taking to Mike Munchak's coaching. But yeah, this is a big year for him. He cannot have 10, 12 penalties again, and he can't be wildly inconsistent and riding that roller coaster during games where he has a bad play and it becomes a bad series. He's got to eliminate that because he's got talent and he's a marvel, but he's just got to be more consistent. And they've seen some of that, but let's be honest, we're not going to know until the real games.
And you mentioned Leary recovering from his torn Achilles tendon last year. So that right guard position, has anyone solidified that spot, or is Leary still the guy to take that position? I know Dan Barkley, Jake Brendel, Elijah Wilkinson. I know there's a battle going on there, but is Leary still the guy at right guard?
If he's healthy, he's starting. And the plan right now, even though he did not play in the preseason, and he thought he was going to play against San Francisco, and they decided against it. I mean, he's just been a tough go for Big Ron between his knee and his Achilles and his age, and he's just trying to fight through it. But they're hopeful he can start and be ready to answer the bell against the Raiders. If he cannot go, I would look for Wilkinson to start. Wilkinson played well at guard last year when they made all those changes a year ago, and Wilkinson has real versatility. So for me right now, if Leary can't go, and again, it's up in the air, even though he's still the first teamer, then look for Elijah Wilkinson to play at guard. But man, they are short on depth. They are thin at offensive line as they are at inside linebacker. Those are two places they can ill afford any injuries.
And with Drew Lock, obviously on injured reserve right now, I'm assuming they're going to go with two quarterbacks. Is that the right decision, having the two quarterbacks and then bringing in, another running back? I know the depth chart probably will have 4 running backs. What's your thoughts on being thin that early on quarterback?
Well, with Locke, they haven't decided if they're going to put him on the IR where they could bring him back during the year. He's in this weird kind of vortex of he's not going to be ready for another 3 to 4 weeks, but does he need to miss 8 weeks? Because if you put him on that IR where you can rescind it and bring him back, he can't practice with the team for 6 weeks. Well, that's okay for the first few weeks because he's not able to practice, but do you want to not have him practice for those other 3 weeks when he might be healthy? So they're still trying to work through that. I'm not sure the backup quarterback's on the roster right now. If C.J. Beathard or Nick Mullins becomes available more on the street, not necessarily through trade, and one of them could be the backup to Joe Flacco. And Kevin Hogan's got the inside track now with Will Rippon, for me, looking like the guy who's going to land on practice squad. Again, the way you could argue to keep Hogan would be you keep Hogan knowing that Locke would be ready in like week 4 to be the backup again. It's just trying to kind of guesstimate how long does Locke need to get ready, and they don't know that yet. They've got that issue with Riddick, they've got it with Janovich, they've got it with Joe Jones. Jake Butt, in some ways, the same situation, although I think he lands on the IR and misses the season. But it's just a lot of weird, complicated issues because of injuries that don't necessitate a year-long sit, but it would really mess them up early in the season, having a bunch of guys inactive that are hurt.
You're here with two dudes and a Mexican. We're here with Troy Renck from Denver 7 ABC. Troy, we appreciate you taking your time out. I want to talk a little bit about Joe Flacco. Obviously, the Broncos haven't had a consistent quarterback, right, since Peyton Manning. Brock Osweiler, Trevor Siemian, to name a few. Now you guys go out and get Joe Flacco. How do you think this season and this offense plays out with Joe at the realm now? Or do you think at some point in time in this season somebody's going to take over for Joe, like Drew Lock or somebody else?
Well, again, they're optimistic that Flacco will play well in this offense because he had a career year in 2014 for Gary Kubiak in Baltimore with a similar offense. This is an updated version of it, but he did play well in it. The bootlegs, the tight ends, the way this offense is structured, it does suit his strengths. It's fair to ask at 34, how much does he have left? When they acquired him, they said he's in his prime. I think that's being obviously overly ambitious. He's not in his prime, but can he still be an effective quarterback that throws 22 touchdowns with 12 picks? They're right around that 2-to-1 touchdown to pick ratio. If he's able to do that, they will be in close games, and maybe their defense can sneak out some games. The issue they've had the last few years is their offense has been so pathetic. They get behind 10-0, 17-3, and now you take away your best defensive players, Bradley Chubb, Von Miller, Chris Harris, because teams have no reason to pass against them. They go into a 4-minute offense and just run the ball and eat the clock. So I think Joe Flacco is clearly an improvement over Case Keenum, but how much? And if he's the second best quarterback in the AFC West this year, like somehow you look up and his numbers are better than Phillip Rivers, then they're going to be in the playoff hunt. If he's the fourth best, like Keenum was last year, then they're going to be 6-10. And Drew Lock at that point, maybe at week 10, after the bye, if they're 2-7, then that's when maybe you see Drew Lock. But they're not in a rush to get Lock in there. Lock playing means that the season's probably gone sideways, and they just need to see what they have in him as the draft approaches again.
So how's he looked in camp? And is his age a worry for the Broncos?
With Flacco, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean the age isn't. You know, the hip. He hasn't shown any issues physically. You know, the hip bothered him last year. He started 16 games, 9 of his 11 seasons, so he's been durable. And he's, you know, his body type. He's lean. He's tall. He doesn't. There's nothing you look at him and go, "Ah, man, this guy looks like he's hanging on by dental floss." He still looks the part. He definitely still has his fastball. I mean, the guy absolutely can sling it around the yard still. Again, when Joe Flacco has won, he's been really a game manager who keeps the game close, finds a way to make some big plays late, and the defense has kind of been the star of the teams he's been on, with the exception of the Super Bowl run he went on early in his career. But they could use a game manager that doesn't turn the ball over. Their issues at the quarterback position have been, a myriad of issues. But if he could just cut down the turnovers, Keenum had 15 picks last year. That was second to Ben Roethlisberger. And anytime Keenum was asked to make a play, he couldn't. He was not effective in the red zone or on third down. So a successful year for Flacco would be obviously to be around 10, 12 picks, preferably under 10, but to be effective on third down in the red zone. So maybe he only throws for 3,500 yards in a league where everyone throws for, it seems like 45 or 5,000. But if he has 22 touchdowns, 11 picks, and they improved to 12th in the red zone, they'll contend. So they're optimistic guys. You have to understand, in the locker room, his Super Bowl win and the fact he's 7-3 on the road in the playoffs, that resonates with players in the locker room more than it does fans. Fans are pessimistic, in part because they're not falling for the banana in the tailpipe anymore. After Simeon, after Lynch, after Osweiler, after Keenum. So when you're like, oh no, this guy, he's the answer, fans are just kind of like, I got to see it now. I'm not going to give you the benefit of the doubt, because the previous 4 guys, and if you count Mark Sanchez in there, the previous 5 guys, it has not worked out at all.
Wow, yeah, I totally forgot about Mark Sanchez being part of the Denver Broncos. So, all right, well, let me ask you one last question then for me. And this is kind of like, I don't know, kind of personal, but who's been his favorite target? Because I actually drafted Hamilton in the draft, so I'd like to know who's his favorite target. I hope you say Hamilton.
Yeah, it's not going to be Hamilton.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be Emmanuel Sanders, and then Sutton, and then one of those tight ends. I mean, Noah Fant would be the sleeper pick if he had a Hunter Henry type year where 45 catches and 8 touchdowns. He could be a sleeper pick because he could be a weapon in the red zone. But Emmanuel Sanders is going to get 8 to 10 targets a game early in the season. I fully expect Flacco to lean on Sanders. So early on, I would not be playing Hamilton.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
So Troy, thank you again for joining us, giving us some minutes of your time. We know you're a busy person. Hopefully we'll have you back on during the season.
You got it, guys. Just reach out. Hope you have a great day. Take care.
All right,
Thanks, Troy. You too.
Thank you.
That's Troy Renck from Denver 7 ABC. He also worked at the Denver Post. I was going to ask him a Woody Page question, but it's already slipped my mind. But we'll get him back on the air. Interesting
what
thing.
question?
Woody Page?
Woody Page.
Woody Page works at the Denver Post, so I'm pretty sure he's had some
Nutcase,
ESPN. Interesting things he said about Joe Flacco, where possibility of him being the second best quarterback in the AFC West, which we don't know what Philip Rivers is.
Yeah.
I've seen him go pretty low in a couple fantasy drafts.
Yeah.
A lot of people might not be high as Rivers as they were before.
Yeah.
Then left tackle, most important position in football. They drafted somebody with 2017 first round pick, and you should know, I should know, Eric Flowers. We drafted him, and he's been total shit. And now he's going to protect Case Keenum. So your thoughts on the offensive line?
I think that's always been one of the biggest issues for them. I think they have a problem protecting their quarterback and a problem making holes for their running back to go through the middle. I think that's going to continue. Mike Munchak is a great offensive line coach. Hopefully he can get the best out of Garrett Bowles and he can get the best out of the people that are there. But right now it hasn't clicked in them. They haven't gelled as an offensive line, and nobody has stood out and clicked to be, listen, I'm going to be the one who controls this line and say, listen, we got to get it together. Because there always has to be a captain of the offensive line. That when people start having penalties, when people start holding and all that, they get them together. And they don't have that person right now.
You said that Philip Lindsay not expected to take most of the workload coming out the backfield, but you expect them to be more efficient in passing.
Good for him.
You as a fantasy guy, what are your thoughts on that?
Listen, I think he's on point. Yeah, it's true. Listen, Lindsey, you can see his athleticism. He's so athletic, that guy. I mean, he can do it all pretty much. Catch the ball, running between the tackles. But I think you're on point with that. I think that's how you got to use him. You got to play to running back strengths.
It's modern day football now.
And now, listen, guys, it's a different quarterback with Flacco. I think they'll be more inclined to take more chances, to throw the ball downfield, especially with that strong Hamilton. Hopefully Hamilton.
Everyone but Hamilton.
Everybody we have on Dave tries to get a fantasy tip out of them.
You like that, huh? I had to plug it in.
Everyone but Hamilton.
Hamilton?
I don't even know who the fuck that is.
But I think they're gonna be more.
That took his number 4 wide receiver, like a 6 target.
I think they're
You're in a
gonna
14 team, man?
What happened?
Were you in a 14 team?
With 20
league?
picks?
I took Dejon Hamilton. He was like my last pick.
20 rounds?
You got another kicker.
He's literally sleeping right now.
So, but I think they're gonna be more inclined to take chances, go downfield. Listen, I'll be honest. I'm a little worried about Flacco. Maybe his mindset. Because listen, where did he come from? Baltimore. Who took over for Baltimore? Lamar Jackson. So can he get over that? Over the fact that Lamar Jackson, pretty much took his job.
He was a Division I AA guy.
Yeah.
Still,
And he won a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
He knows how to fight. And like you said, he's 7-3
at this
in
point,
playoffs.
that's tough. But no, he brought up a lot of good points. But that's something that Flacco's going to have to get over. So it's not easy to get over that.
Good guess. I mean, I can't wait to get him on again. I really do think the Broncos are going to make some noise this year. The defense has always been good, and
They're going to keep him in games.
They're going to keep him in games. Call him what you want. Game manager, whether you want to call Joe Flacco that, it's fine. He's won a Super Bowl.
When they won the Super Bowl, Peyton was a game manager. He didn't win them. Osweiler was the quarterback for half the season.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's fine. We'll see. The AFC West, outside of the Chiefs, it's wide open. It's wide open. So we'll see what happens. We touched on, Pete getting Florida and Miami wrong last week in the NCAA.
They signed pick Deshaun Hamilton.
That's true. So that was a teaser for the NCAA. I'm gonna tune in to Pete's Corner to see what you guys picked. I hope it wasn't as bad as that Florida pick.
Hey, that one didn't count.
I didn't count.
I didn't make that pick on air.
Come on, man.
He's right. He didn't
make that pick on air.
He didn't make it on air.
But we knew.
But game of the week.
Why'd you ask me about Deshaun Hamilton then?
I didn't have to. I asked him.
You should have tweeted it.
That's true.
You should have tweeted it. Hashtag Pete's Corner. Real quick, not that many great games. Obviously, the marquee game is Auburn, Oregon. Auburn might be the 4th best team in the SEC. Pac-12 is what it is. It's probably the 5th best league.
Guy's got to prove he's the best quarterback, though.
Who's that?
Justin
Herbert.
Yeah.
Herbert. I mean, I was. What was I saying?
It's him touring and from. He's got to stand out.
What was the hashtag? I want him to come out last year.
What was the suck for the duck?
I think it was Thurston for Justin or some shit like that. I don't remember what it was.
Suck for the duck.
But here's the thing about the Pac-12. They're usually not going to have a team close to the playoff
Unless they go undefeated.
So
One loss.
While it might be a big game for Auburn, what happens to the Pac-12 if Oregon loses to them on Saturday?
I think the Pac-12 is pretty much a 3-team league right now.
In terms of the playoff, though, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. That those 3 teams have to pretty much win against those 2 other hard teams and go undefeated. If you have one loss, you may be in the conversation, maybe 5th. but I'm not sure if that's still going to get you in. So a loss here completely kills his chances of really getting in, knowing that after this he still has to go against those tough teams when he gets to the conference play, and he's still going to have to play USC, and he's still going to have to play Utah and all those tough teams. So
we got to play Mike Leach in Washington State.
Listen,
it was a sleeper team, bro.
Yeah, and that's another good team that I like. So if Oregon doesn't win this game, they're really in trouble. So I think that they need it more.
They need it more.
Yeah.
Pac-12 needs it more. So
Yes.
if Oregon loses this game to Auburn, I don't know if the Pac-12 really has
People aren't gonna take it
any other marquee games outside of the one they played with each other.
Is
Is that it for the Pac-12?
They're not going to take them seriously.
They're done.
unless they go
Are they
undefeated.
done? Are they done if they lose this game?
And even if they go undefeated, teams still aren't going to take them seriously. They're going to be like, oh, look, when your one guy actually went up against a good team in SEC and they got beat up. So even if they go undefeated, they're not going to take them seriously, even though they
So my question to you is if they lose tomorrow, they done with playoff the Pac-12?
Yes.
Until after tomorrow, Saturday.
Yes.
They're done.
Yes.
They're done too, Pac-12?
Yeah, I think so too.
Because I don't think any of the other teams are going to go undefeated anyway. So Oregon's their best shot.
So Oregon,
Oregon has to win.
That's crazy.
Has to win on Saturday.
That's crazy.
Must win in game one on the road.
But you know, we'll get more into the college football, but I mean, we have to make our predictions. We didn't make them last week. I'm gonna go first with you. Who ends up in the playoffs this year? Top 14.
I'm going to go first the two obvious ones, which are Clemson and Alabama.
Sunshine.
My third team is going to be Georgia.
Nice too. Nice.
And then my fourth team is going to be Notre Dame.
I got the same thing as him.
And then the fifth team is going to be LSU on the way out.
I got the same as you. Actually. I got the two obvious ones. I think Georgia's only going to lose one game. And it's probably going to be Alabama.
That'll get them in,
an SEC championship. I think Clemson's going to go undefeated. I think Notre Dame may lose one, but they might not. They have a tough schedule. You got Michigan, got Georgia. I think Georgia's going to beat you. That might be your one loss. But I still think that winning Michigan at the Big House will be what gets them in to the playoffs. I mean, I'm not. You know me. I do not like Jim Harbaugh. He's so overrated.
Yeah.
So
loses every big game.
Loses every big game. His record against Penn State, Michigan State, Ohio State is terrible. Because he's got cool khakis and he likes to be fiery and he's got the name. Yeah, the other Harbaugh has a Super Bowl. What does he have?
Yeah.
Still got the name.
He's been to a Super Bowl and lost.
Has he lost Tressel or has it been just Urban Meyer spanking him?
Both of
them.
Mostly Urban.
So he got spanked by an old guy, and he got spanked by a guy with mental health issues who lets his coaches beat on his wife. So, he's getting spanked around by bums. I'm just kidding. Not bums, great coaches, but terrible people. Dave, your top four.
I had the same in Bama.
Really?
Yeah,
Come on, Dave.
What do you want me to say? Auburn. Yeah, I had Auburn.
Say LSU or
LSU.
Ohio State.
Say Michigan.
I'm sorry.
Michigan.
That's who I had.
Say
There's
Oklahoma.
gonna be another. So
Oklahoma. Wait,
So
what's his name? Riley.
So this is gonna be another year that the Big Ten is just gonna be mad with Michigan and Ohio State.
I don't think Ohio State's that elite this year, and I don't know. Probably.
A new coach.
That's a new coach. I think there's.
Irvin's not there to get the illegal recruits in there.
See, you said it, not me. I'm saying.
Listen, all right. I'm not gonna say illegal recruits, but he did get certain people into the school that he was allowed to get in. I do know that. Yeah.
Sure. So you gonna stick with that? That's your top four?
Yes.
Man, I gotta change mine now.
We should have talked about
I
this
told you.
show, I think. That's what we should.
See, this is proof that we don't talk about the show.
Yeah, we don't rehearse our topics or anything. We just wing it and fucking talk about whatever.
Whoa. Shut up. I actually do some background homework here.
No, we ain't saying that, but we don't talk about what we're gonna actually pick or anything like that.
Dave doesn't. We know that.
Don't.
I'm not even gonna bother.
The same teams.
I'm gonna say the same teams. I think that's what happens. Sue us, whatever. I mean, you know what?
All right, so wait a minute. So who's gonna be the team that gets pissed off that ends up fifth?
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. Who's the team that gets pissed off that fifth?
LSU.
It could be. It definitely could be.
I'm gonna go with LSU.
I'm gonna go Ohio State.
Ohio State. You can go Oklahoma.
Yeah. So they'll be finished fifth in this one.
All right, before we end the show, from one type of football to another type of football, we didn't really talk about the Premier League or Europe Champions League. We'll get into that at some point. But before we go, big North London derby Sunday. heated rivals, Arsenal versus Spurs. Arsenal is home. Who do you got?
Spurs.
This fucking guy. You mean a team that lost to fucking Southampton last week?
Wait, the same team that.
Listen.
The same team that.
Southampton?
Listen, they're up and down team.
At home?
They're up and down
They
team.
lost to Southampton at home.
Listen. First of all, do you want to tell the crowd who your team is first before you
Arsenal.
make this?
They know. But we're home.
Yeah.
We're home. We lost to Liverpool at their place. Not an easy. Ask Barcelona what happened last time they went to Liverpool. 4-3. They had a 3-0 lead. They blew it.
Yeah.
So it's not an easy place to play.
Oh, of course, of course.
Spurs had not a top team come into their brand new stadium. You know, they had the cool beer machine that fills the beer up from the top. Everyone's sucking that damn big stadium. And what they do, opening day, they shit the bed.
They did. But they're up and down team though.
4-2 Arsenal.
Damn.
No defense played.
4-2 Arsenal.
Absolutely. No defense played. There's never defense played in London Derby. That's
rough.
What's your prediction?
I'm going with Tottenham, man. I'm going with Tottenham. Listen,
Can't wait
my
for
wife,
next week.
my wife likes. She's a hot Spurs fan, so I'm going with Tottenham.
Really? She is.
Yes.
That's a stupid reason
She
to pick
is.
the game. So you should stupid reason. Dre, who you got, Dre? Fuck these guys.
Wait, Arsenal.
Arsenal Spurs.
Don't be biased.
No.
Emirates.
No, I got Arsenal.
See, man, you guys all sub.
Dre don't even want to come on the show. What the hell?
Come on, man.
You don't really want to say.
He's
like,
supposed to be here, sitting right here, talking about the Premier League. He doesn't even want to come on.
He's mock drafting. He's mock drafting in the background.
No, he's
Let
not.
him do
He's
it.
drafting
He's trying to
Phone.
skip. He's trying to look. He's trying to look and see who took Deshaun Hamilton. That's what he's trying to
Well,
Laugh now. I'm gonna laugh later.
do. Yeah, where he does that up in the rankings.
When Caldwell gets hurt and Sutton goes down, you got Hamilton left.
I'm like, this offense sucks.
Joe Flacco's gonna retire.
Like,
I'm not throwing this guy.
All right, so that's it, man. That was our show for the day. We'll get into more pennant MLB next week.
Pennant race is
Pennant
September
races.
1st.
Then we talk football.
Yeah.
We're gonna have one more show before football goes live. So if you
All
have
of our
more
picks,
fantasy
division winners,
questions,
everything.
More fantasy questions for these guys over here. Go right ahead. If you want to send Dave a message about how the Mets are choking, can do that as well.
only three.
Yeah.
Only three out.
Only
Only
three
three out.
out.
Buffy. Only three
Four
out.
now.
Only three out.
It keeps adding on. No.
It might be 6 by the time we
It
see you
keeps
next
adding
week.
on. No.
Might be 6.
Haters.
You gonna beat the
Bunch of
cups tonight?
haters.
You gonna beat the cups tonight?
Bunch of haters. Yeah, we're winning.
Oh, they got one tonight.
Yeah, Thor.
Thor?
You're going against Hendricks, aren't you?
Is it Fat Thor or
Bro, ain't
regular
you going
Thor?
against Hendricks?
Thor's been hot, red hot. Come
Oh,
on.
Hendricks been pitched better than
Fat
this year,
Thor?
though.
Not the Thor. Not now lately.
Fat Thor or regular Thor?
No. The best.
Yo, is he gonna have a ponytail or
Best
no?
story. I wish you had
If
it.
he has it in a ponytail, he's losing now. He's gotta have the hair out.
We'll talk Mets, we'll talk Yankees, we'll talk definitely fantasy
magic
football.
number,
I mean, if you haven't
125.
fantasy drafted yet, send the questions in. We'll get to
I'll
them.
help you out.
And then we'll talk more Premier League football. Hopefully, get some Champion Leagues next week, and of course, NCAA football. So, I mean, to me, it's the best product in sports is the NCAA football. So I can't wait for this Saturday for it to open up and then to get it rolling along. That's our
FSU.
show.
Next week,
FSU.
much better than this.
Yeah, of course. This is the opening week. But yeah, we'll talk more football. I mean, it's football season, man.
Duke.
Summer's over. Sad to
Dude,
say.
just say Duke.
Duke.
For you, man. Aren't you Duke?
FSU.
Dude, it's college football.
College football.
That was
Oh, college
football.
football.
Yo,
You're saying college
Are you on the
basketball.
show today?
It's all right. You know, they lost 4 in a row. Gotta give them some. Let them be. So we'll talk to him next week. We'll talk to you next week. Pete's Corner on Sunday though. So if you want to bet,
Alright.
gamble with Pete. Peace.
Peace.
Later.